Dan Leach back here in Chicago at Benzinga's Cannabis Capital Conference, and I'm pleased to be joined by Paul Weiss, the former CEO of Paper Planes, now the Chief Development Officer of Kolaboration Ventures Corporation. We got a lot to get to, Paul, don't we? First off, congratulations on the new title. Let's talk about what just happened with Paper Planes.
Well, first of all, great to be here, Dan. Great to see you again. The market this year was moving very, very quickly. And like all small companies and medium-sized companies, funding is a critical component of it. And the gap between those that can achieve funding for growth and those that can't was widening and widening. Not just the cost of those funds, but the availability of those funds. So from an operational perspective, the goals that our shareholders had about growth were not going to be actualized efficiently. And it really hit home at the beginning of 2024. So we spent the year looking at different alternatives, and then quite frankly, when the opportunity came to be part of KVC and their need for us and their need for what I wanted to do with them, everything fit perfectly. So the deal actually closed in about 5 weeks from when we started talking. It was a record.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, when you look at, it's obviously pivoting is important in this industry, and I think you explained it beautifully about why you have to make sure you're in the right place for this kind of stuff. When you see the future and how this is going to just make things even more exciting for what you're trying to do, how do you look at that? Because obviously, you were the CEO and now you're the Chief Development Officer, and it's all about trying to move this stuff forward. From where you sit right now, how are you feeling about everything?
When you're the CEO, you're wide and sort of thin. But if you can get a narrow and deep portfolio that you can make a big impact on a company, it's a gift.
Right.
So when we were having our discussions in terms of what role would I have at KVC, these guys are brilliant operators, brilliant, all underlined, italicized, and bolded. And there was a need for working with the investment community, developing the balance sheet, assisting with M&A,
right,
areas that I know something about. So it was a natural fit. If I'd come on as a head cultivator, there wouldn't have been a fit because they have a number of guys that are fantastic at it. So from that perspective, it's a very easy transition that now I can focus on my strengths.
You think there's a big lesson in this for other people in this industry that maybe are trying to do things that, obviously they think are the right things, but maybe they need to take a step back like you guys did?
I hope so. It's a slow, long march to oblivion when you're break-even to small losses. And a lot of dispensaries are having that now. I mean, we're a manufacturer, but you can live like a zombie for a long time. And three things really come to mind. The first is it's punishing to your shareholders because whatever value they have erodes. The morale of your company is really challenged because so every week at your management meeting, you have 4 hands out for every $1. And everybody has a need in their different business unit. And it becomes an explanation, we're working on it, and a hard process. And the vibrancy of the market underlying cannabis is excellent, but the liquidity is not there.
Right.
And being honest with yourself as a company is critical. And it's the hardest thing to do is let go of the wheel a little bit and say, do I need to be thinking about alternatives? The other side is not every company is as lucky to have alternatives because if you don't have a certain scale and if you're not a premium brand, if you don't have your SOPs dialed in, if you have any legacy issues,
right,
if you've been backdooring and doing things that people say we're doing to survive, but they've challenged the quality of their earnings, you won't get acquired. We made the hard call not to do burner distro sales and things that would generate cash to sustain us. And although it seemed very difficult at the time, it gave us an exit ramp, which we were lucky to have.
You explained that beautifully, and I think, like I said, it's a lesson to many others because we want this industry to go forward. It's about giving people the lessons that can help that.
Right.
And when you look at where we're going, and obviously there's talks about different reschedulings and the different federal stuff that could happen, that notwithstanding, where do you see this industry going in the next 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Because I know there's been trouble at times, but it just seems like there's so many positive things that are in the offing right now.
The most positive thing that I've seen is the rationalization of the capital structure. A lot of the investors that came in too loose have had so much pain that they're being careful how they deploy their money.
Right.
The companies that had no viable business plan are gone. Their assets are being sold off by pieces. And the consolidation trend is taking root in a very serious way, which was one of the reasons I was excited to go to KVC, because we're going to be part of the consolidation side. Putting aside rescheduling and all the things that are out there that are catalysts that'll do great things for us, the overall improvement in the financial health of the companies operating is a big thing. Specifically for California. California's become a vacuum where most of the big companies left California because of all the pain.
Yep.
And so now what's left, you got a few companies like ours that were beasts, and we're thriving on it. And the only thing missing is some fuel in the tank, which now there is starting to become an opening, and I'm seeing more term sheets that are not stupid, and I'm seeing a lot more willing participants. I'm actually really bullish on the future, not in some kind of Pollyannish way, in a very specific way. There is a fundamental, restructured industry that's paired well with a macro environment of growth, and we haven't had that yet.
No, but I think that's about as perfectly as you could have said that. You're one of those guys adding the good fuel to the fire, so nothing but the best to you going forward. Paul Weiss, now the Chief Development Officer at Kolaboration Values Corporation. It's great to talk with you, and I feel like there's some really exciting times ahead for you in this industry.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks very much.
Pleasure's all mine.